Hey guys, welcome to another episode of On Another Line. I'm Tyler Waller.
I'm Josh Bryant.
Thank you guys sticking around with us again. We are on episode 3. We got a lot of information coming to you guys this evening. If you guys could comment on the actual Facebook Live, and if you can hear us okay. We've tested it for about an hour already. That's why we're a little bit late getting on here, but I want to make sure everything is good and you guys can still see us and hear us well, better than you could before, because last week didn't go as planned. So, so again, Josh, what we got for him this week?
Hey, we're going to talk a little bit about the tungsten versus lead, cold water techniques, tackle prep, rod cleaning, just anything to do with your tackle prep. Top 5 baits for us personally in 2017. The preseason prep, which will include stuff that you can control, your boat, your trailer, tires, just any kind of preventive maintenance, so to speak. And we had a good question about how to get sponsored and what you can do and things you can make yourself stand out from the rest of the crowd. So we'll be giving you a few techniques or a few tips on that, and a few techniques on how to do a fishing resume, etc.
Yep. One of the first things, we might as well just dig right into it. One of the first things that we had several people ask this past couple times, the past few episodes that we want to tackle is the difference between tungsten versus lead. And is there advantages? Is there disadvantages? Should we be practicing using tungsten instead of lead via for toxicity reasons? So what we did was Josh and I created this forum or survey. We put it online, and we had 60 or 59 people, I think,
right about there, yeah.
Somewhere around 60 people respond to it, and an overwhelming majority of people right now are fishing. They're fishing tungsten, and to be honest with you, I am not. I wish I was, and I'm going to.
Right.
The problem is right now that I don't have the ability to afford it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's really, really expensive. We're going to get into that in just a second. We're also going to, via this survey we did, we found the best places to buy them. I'm going to give you that, and we're going to talk about some of the things that's going on. So let's dig right into the actual tungsten versus lead stuff here. Let me bring this up on the screen for you. Josh, what was some information you found was helpful for the tungsten stuff?
Well, whenever Tyler came at me this and said, we're going to talk about tungsten versus lead, and of course, like Tyler said, I'm one of the 19% that fishes lead. So I started digging into it, and man, there is so much about the difference in there. And from reading, different posts, I know everybody's got their own opinion about it, but we still wanted to take everything away. And the biggest thing is what I found, this could be a big thing, is a lot of people pour their own lead. It's not environmentally friendly no more, and a lot of places are actually banning lead that we found. So we looked out, and I think tungsten melts at, was it 6,000?
6,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Somewhere in there, 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Which you would have to have a small furnace. I mean, something with some, you would have to spend some money. And the way you make them, lead is poured by molds. Tungsten is pressed together, so you'd have to have a hydraulic press, have to have dies, and everything like that. But I think lead melts at 670, 610. I'm not for sure. We'll get the exact numbers.
Degrees, yeah.
But does it make it sound? Well, from what I found out, most of it, yes. The sound is different. It's a different click or clack, whatever you want to say. They say that tungsten, of course, is harder, so it's not going to form going in when you're going in rocks where it won't hang up as bad. That's one reason I see a lot of people say they like it.
It doesn't. It's not soft, so when you hit something, that's going to be, solid, it's not going to deform. So let's dive into this real quick, Josh, and show everybody what we got going on here.
And before we do this, we want to thank everybody who submitted their answers took the time, to get this, and we were blown away with a couple of these results. I mean, personally,
Yep. So right here is the this is the survey that we put out. And again, this is a Google form that I made. But you can see here we just named it tungsten versus lead, but we're just talking about trying to dispel some myths that get some people's opinions about lead versus tungsten. So the very first question we asked the people were, we have 58 responses, you can see there. Which do you prefer when it comes to fishing weights, jigs, sinkers, etc.? We didn't put this in any. I know a lot of people that fish like lead worm weights, but prefer tungsten jigs.
Right.
We just kind of threw this all in as a, everybody, as a, I guess you'd say a overall or an overarching thing. So if you see here, 81% of the people that we surveyed actually fish tungsten as their lead is what they prefer. Again, I fall right here within this tungsten or within the lead. 11 or 19% of those. And as Josh mentioned, the reason I do that is, one, again, like I said, it's not really health conscious or health friendly, but I do pour my own lead, and I'm outside in a well ventilated area. Does that make it any better? Probably not.
No.
If you ask somebody in California, when I melt lead here, they're getting cancer out there.
Yeah.
So
it causes cancer in lab rats too.
Yeah, it does. So, so Josh, are you on the 19%?
Yes, I am.
Aaron, I see you out there watching. What's your opinion? You fish lead or you fish tungsten? I take you probably for a tungsten guy. I see you sharing a lot of cool baits and stuff. So, so the next question was, if you don't fish tungsten, why is that? Why do you not fish tungsten? 70% of those people said that they fish tungsten, obviously. Next on that list is going to be they don't see the advantage of it. They don't see the reason to pay $9 for a 1.5 ounce weight when they can buy enough lead from a tire shop for $9 to last them all year. And I can see that too.
Aaron's a lead guy.
Lead, yeah. There you go.
How about you, Dan Mullins? I see you're watching. What do you fish with, Dan?
And next one was lead works, so don't fix what isn't broken. I can get that. A lot of people are set in their ways, including myself. Josh and I were going to talk about our top 5 producing baits this year in just a second. And the thing about it is, I really sat down and I was like, wow, I am that narrow-minded. I have my own strict baits that I go fishing with, and, I got 20 rods and probably only drag 5 of them out every time I fish. I need to get out of that habit. The next one was I can pour my own lead, which is somebody put I fish tungsten as their answer when that answer was already there, so that kind of construes it. Someone put tungsten. That must be a new form of tungsten.
Well, that or
that's it.
Autocorrect.
Autocorrect, yeah. One guy says tungsten makes a more artificial clicking or clacking noise when it's in the water, which I can understand. It's harder, it's more dense. And the last one was I can buy 10 lead for $1 and only 4 for $10. Which is pretty crazy. But one thing that I want to talk to you guys about, let's just.
And Dan, I see you said you fish tungsten with. I'm thinking this means worms. Dan, in your opinion, I know you fish a lot. Does it make a different sound, and why do you fish it?
So one thing about it is I want to talk to you guys a little bit about I'm a teacher. I love to get scientific with stuff. Josh and I, like I said, we've read so much about tungsten and lead in the past week, trying to, better our understanding of it. As he said, I've yet to find a company in America that makes tungsten. I wanted to contact them. I wanted to get them to send me a couple samples. I was going to plug them. I'm guessing 100% of all the tungsten bought in America is made in China, Japan, somewhere overseas. Who's to say? It may all come from the exact same company, Strike King to, whatever. But one thing about it is, again, you're not going to see it like in your regular mom and pop deal. You're not going to go out and you're not going to, I don't even think even in like a small like metal forging iron, I don't know that you, or an oven, I don't think you can get it to 6,000 degrees. Maybe you can. It would be tough. You're going to have to be like burning coke
spend some money.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna be happy.
You're gonna put the change out.
Yeah, so that's one negative I see of tungsten.
Yeah.
The other thing is that if you get back into the actual scientific side of things, if you look at the periodic table and you look at lead and you look at tungsten, if you look on there, it shows that the atomic weight of tungsten is actually less than lead. So most people will look at that and they say, wow, well, lead must be actually heavier than tungsten. And that is not true. This is one time that I can tell you that the atomic weight of an actual element is misleading, because the atomic weight is, somebody that's a chemistry teacher out there, let me know, but I'm pretty sure the atomic weight is the amount of atoms surrounding a nucleus of that element. So don't be misconstrued with that fact. And also, don't think of tungsten and lead as one weighing more than the other. So when we think about it, if I have a pound of feathers and a pound of bricks, they still weigh 1 pound.
Right,
so the weight of them is controversial. What you're looking at is the density and the amount of material it takes to make up that amount of weight. So
right.
It's like you take a 1 pound chunk of tungsten is going to be way less, smaller wise, than 1 pound chunk of lead. It's just more dense. The molecules are packed together a lot more tight, and it allows for more weight in a smaller package.
Right. Yeah. As Tyler was saying there, Dan, I see it. You think you could feel the bite easier. That was one of the things that when I was reading up on it, a lot of people said was, I can feel bites, I can feel rock, I can feel the changes of the bottom of the lake or whatever, from clay to mud or to gravel or whatever it may be. And I think like we said, we went to scientific. It's 1.74, right?
That's more than that, I think.
I'm on 1.74 or whatever it is. So if you take a 1 by 1 inch block, it only it would take 1.74 inches of lead to equal 1 inch, as because the density is what it is.
Yeah, if you had a 1 inch by 1 inch cube of tungsten, it would take a 1.74 inch cube of lead to equal the same weight.
Yeah. Okay.
So tungsten, if you took like I said, a 1 inch by 1 inch chunk or cube of tungsten, it would take a cube 1.74 times bigger than tungsten to equal the same weight. So let's get back here and look at the actual rest of the survey, then we'll continue on. So the survey again, the next question was, if you fish tungsten, why do you fish tungsten? The biggest things there, actually, more dense, better sensitivity is going to be the biggest thing there. That's 62%. The next one is going to be the 19% that they chose that I fish lead. So that's going to be why they do that. And this is one thing that really got me thinking about it, is I put lead as toxic on here as a something they can choose as a topic there, because I wanted to get people's opinion on them. I know lead is toxic.
Yeah,
I know it is. It doesn't take Californian scientists to tell me that it's toxic. I mean, I've been around long enough to know that this stuff is bad. Do I see it like contaminating water sources? I don't, but I mean, it's naturally occurring. Lead is in the water. It's in, it just depends on where it's at. You're going to see that. Somebody didn't just put not applicable because they must fish lead. And then they had one there that says it sinks quicker than lead. And I see that. And again, it's not going to be that. I think the reason it does sink quicker than lead, because if you think about it, you have a 1 ounce weight, it's going to be 1 ounce no matter what, but I think it's less drag because it's smaller in the form factor. There's less drag on the water, so it does sink faster. And the next one was really, you can see it was everywhere. Matter of fact, there was like 15 different places that people bought their tungsten. I wanted to do this because I wanted to bring you guys the best place to buy them. and I've done some research, but overwhelmingly, the company called Wicked Weights. I haven't done any research. I haven't contacted them. Wicked Weights, you're welcome for a little plug there. But Wu Tungsten was out there. Josh is actually sponsored by Wu Tungsten. Picasso, Strike King, Joy.Fish is a Chinese company. Eco Pro is a really good American-based company. I don't know where their tungsten comes from. Allies or Allies, however you say that. And some people say various brands. My favorite answer was any. The cheaper, the better.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So that's where I'm looking at. So the next one is, in your opinion, do both tungsten and lead make different sounds when they hit something solid in the water? Almost 80% of people say yes, that it does. And I don't fish tungsten, but I don't see how it cannot.
Right.
It's more dense.
Yeah.
You think about taking a rubber ball and hitting something solid or a mallet. There's going to be a different sound there. So I would say that definitely does.
And most of the research that we have found reading and it does. So what that sound is, I can't exactly tell you, but they say it does make a different sound as far as the click or the clack.
So the next question was, what size weight, lead or tungsten, do you fish? Do you find yourself using more often than not in any fishing application? The biggest one here is anywhere from 1/8 ounce to 3/4. I mean, it was scattered all the way across the board. 3/16 was a real big one. 1/4 ounce was by far the biggest. I'm going to start buying tungsten that's bigger. I'm going to buy 3/4 to 1.5 ounce. Be fishing some places where I'm going to be punching some mats this season. So I'm going to need that. I'm going to try to make the swap to bigger tungsten this year. And the last question was, do you buy your weights, whether that be tungsten or lead, in bulk? And almost half the field says sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. 19% say no. I'm going to guess that's probably the people. A lot of those people are fishing tungsten because, let's face it, you don't have the opportunity to fish. You're not going to buy $1,000 worth of tungsten. So, and 32% say they do. Obviously, you're going to get a better deal if you do, but
Right.
it just depends. So, you got anything else to add to that, Josh?
No, I'm excited to try the tungsten and to make sure, just as a way of seeing if it really does make a difference. And I'm sure Tyler here will be, wanting to attempt it too. And, anything to help me be a better fisherman, I'm all for it. Catch more fish or, I'm all about it. So we're excited for the spring and to get out there.
Yep, I am extremely excited. I don't know if you guys know or not, but I'm actually, hopefully, with some help of my sponsors, going to be able to fish the Costa Series this year, which is huge for me. I feel like the BFLs are pro level tournaments as well. There's a bunch of good fishermen in there, but I feel like that somebody paying anywhere from $500 to $1,700 a tournament, you're not going to be messing with your average or weekenders, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I'm pretty excited about that. But so let's if you guys have any questions about tungsten, we'll definitely try to answer those for you. But in my opinion, here's my honest opinion: do I think tungsten will replace lead eventually? Yes,
Yeah.
I see that happen. Do I want to be on the learning curve and buying this stuff? Sure, I wish I could. Like I said, I just don't have the opportunity or the free money. So if any of you guys out there know some hookups with some tungsten, or you guys are importing this stuff from China, I don't care how you're getting it. I'm
not
just
illegally though.
Well, pay your taxes. Come
Right.
on. But like I said, I've done my research. I looked online. I wanted to find a USA manufacturer of tungsten. I wanted to say, hey guys, tell them what we're going to do. Talk about tungsten. Ask them all the stuff that that you guys want to know, because they're going to know more than we would. I found a company in Barbersville called Nippon Tungsten.
Yeah, like that.
But what they make is like tungsten pressing units. They actually are like drums that I guess you can sharpen tungsten really well too. So it holds an edge. So they make these cutting wheels with them, but they don't press tungsten, or they don't make them like that. So if you guys know any USA-based companies that make these things, definitely let me know. I try to buy everything in America as I can.
Yeah.
You just don't have the opportunity sometimes. So we got our next on our list here.
Next, we're going to move to cold water techniques, and me and Tyler actually got out. What was it? 2 days before Christmas, the Friday before Christmas, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And man, it looked beautiful. Water was clear. It was calm. It wasn't as cold as what we thought. Well, it was actually colder in the water, but I think the water temperature was right around 39, 40 degrees, something like that. And we got out, and of course we fished for sauger. We wasn't fishing really for bass. I mean, we threw some baits there at the very end, but we were just trying to have some fun, just to get out and just enjoy. And but as we talk about cold water techniques, the first thing that comes to mind is what I would throw. And I love jigs. I love throwing them. There's just something fun about a jig to me when you feel the bite and just doing it. So as what I would do, I would get probably like a 3/4 or so jig head. I love black and blue. That's my favorite color. I don't know why. And I like putting it on with a. In the summer, I would throw like a small beaver from React Innovations, but in the wintertime, I would go more to like a paddle tail, a twin tail grub, a fat Albert, whatever you want to call them, and just drag that thing, man. Make it look like a crawdad who's just kind of, moving on down, just mind his own business, And I like rattles. I use the rattles on most of my jigs, so does it make him fish better? Personally, I think it's a mindset. Yeah, it does. So I want to keep throwing them because that's what's working for me. So, and one thing I would do is I trim the tail or the skirt of the jig itself to keep it from, short striking or whatever. I want to make sure I get that good hook set.
And it has something for me in cold weather. My biggest thing is I like to upsize my baits. You're talking about cutting them down and making smaller. Man, I'm just chunking some giant baits in the wintertime because let's face it, everything I've read says that these bigger fish, they don't want to exert the energy to go out and catch these fish unless it's going to be a substantial benefit for them. And speaking of substantial benefit, I want you to check out this dude right here.
Yeah, what's
man,
up,
Aaron
man?
Strickland freaking caught a saw guy the other day out of, let me guess, quote unquote Lake White, right, bud?
Yeah, Lake White.
I don't know what's more impressive, this big old saw guy or that 300 horsepower Mercury in the background there. But you got some crap on your head there. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah,
but,
you gotta get rid of that toboggan, man. Hey, I'll donate you a toboggan with a real team on it. All you gotta do is ask me.
Anyway, this thing was like 2 ounces from being the Kentucky state record saw guy, which is, that's an awesome fish, man. Nice job. Congratulations on that. But talk about cold weather techniques. I upsize my baits, man. I'm gonna throw big baits. I'm gonna throw big swim baits, something that I don't want to rip it. Obviously, you're not gonna be chunky, but something that I can, like a 4 or 5 inch swim bait, something that I can just make glide, something that they are reacting to, but they can still wow, I'm gonna eat this thing and I'm not gonna have to eat for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Something hardy.
Yeah,
Go big blue. Whatever.
Yeah, man, we're just giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
We're here talking.
I work in Kentucky, so
yeah.
I'll still talk bad about them. I pay my taxes over there.
Hey, man, we can't knock Kentucky. Fast Signs, one of our sponsors, is over in Asheville, Kentucky.
Yeah,
we can't say anything about that. But
like I say,
Terry and those guys are there to hook you up.
Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah,
but
some awesome people.
So we have, like you said, cold water techniques. Josh sent me an article today that I read from Bassmaster.com, and I think it was Jordan Lee when he was talking about. I believe it was Jordan Lee. How he targets pockets of highland reservoirs for fish when it gets colder. He says the colder the better. Obviously, if the water's frozen, you're a little too cold. But anywhere from 50 degrees till it freezes, 32 degrees, they usually say highland reservoirs. But I see that in a sense. He's talking about like Lake Lanier and stuff it's big herring lake, stuff that you're going to have a lot of bait fish movement. I will say that this spring in Yatesville Lake, I saw the most shad I've ever seen in that lake in my entire life, and I've fished there really religiously for the past 7, 8, 9 years, dang near every weekend. And you could see it on one of my YouTube videos, the Yatesville tournament for this year. I'm like sitting there talking. You could see shad busting all around me on my boat. It was amazing. And I caught the fish that I caught in pockets, and it was cold. We're talking 50-degree water temperature, so
Right.
I mean it does ring true. So and obviously he's not the Bassmaster Classic champion for nothing. The dude catches some fish.
He may be able to fish a little bit.
Yeah, I mean he caught one fish one time, I think. Won a $250,000 check.
Yeah, luck.
Yeah.
I was on the side that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
I need that kind of luck.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, we're going to move right on here. And what we're going to talk about is tackle prep and what you can do in the wintertime right now. Most of you guys are in Southern Ohio right now or Northern Kentucky, it is cold.
Yep.
I work up on the Big Sandy River, and it's pretty much frozen right now. I don't know if you can walk across it, but it's covered over. And I'm telling you, I'm getting cabin fever. I've been, getting on stuff, looking up things I can do. And one of the things me and Tyler talked about was tackle preparation, and that is one thing you want to do to make sure you can control the things you can control. And one of them is rod and reel, cleaning it. Take your time, clean it all up. Take your reels apart, clean them. And if you don't feel comfortable, cleaning up your own reel, Dan Mullins at a Higher Rod and Reel and Repair. Dan's an excellent guy. Me and Tyler fish with the River Cities Club, and he's just an all-around good guy. And he charges $19.95 plus tax to clean your reels. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you send them to him, they're gonna be done right. You're not gonna have to worry about this whole year if maybe a bearing or grinding or whatever. It's gonna be smooth and clean, and I promise you, he's gonna do a good job for you. So if you get a chance, check him out. Ohio Rod and Reel Repair, Dan Mullins.
Yeah, Dan, do you you do repair obviously? So I'm sure it's $19.95 to clean it. Plus, is there any extra fees other than parts? Do you charge labor if there's something broke, like say you need a new bearing? Is it covered in that $19.99, or is there fees above and beyond that? Because I know if you send your stuff back to Shimano, it's $25, but that covers it all. Like if something's broke, they fix it. But obviously, I'm probably going to send my stuff your way, Dan, this year.
Yeah.
I got several rod and reels. Speaking of rod and reels, I got to show you guys this. This is brand new to me. This is a G Loomis NRX. This is a whooping stick, man. This is an 894C, 7'5" fast action heavy rod, paired up with a Shimano Chronarch MGL in the 8-to-1 gear ratio. This thing is going to burn some jigs, man. I would not want to be a bass on the other end of this thing. I mean, look at this. I mean, my thumb is pretty good size, and it's very similar to the size of this rod. Extremely big. I mean, I love this thing, dude. If you've never fished an NRX, come and get a hold of me. Yeah. Because you need to fix it, fish them. And I'm going to plug this one here really quick too. This is this will be going back to Drew Sadler here soon, but this is an actual this is a G Loomis and Shimano Conquest rod. Sorry I'm getting off topic here, but I'm only going to have this thing for a few more days. I want you guys to see this. And I'll have it for a week or so. If you guys want to get your hands on it, let me know. I'll meet you somewhere. You can check it out. And the tackle box has a few up there if you want to stop and talk to them about it. But these two rods right here, are some of the most high-end rods on the market. And man, they're nice. Really nice.
However, we went fishing the other day. I had an opportunity to cast it, and I declined. because I'm not buying a $700 rod. But let me see. Aaron said just got an NRX. Can't wait to try it out.
Yeah, they're sweet, man. I tell you what, my favorite rod that I own right now is I bought an 843 NRX. I wanted to use it for flipping and pitching. I talked to Drew, and I asked him, and he said that the NRX tapers a lot quicker, so it's going to be a lot. It's has more backbone than most, like an E6X. So I went to 3-power instead of a 4-power. I regretted that the day that I got it in my hands. However, dude, let me tell you about a spinnerbait rod. I tell you what, I'm not kidding you, and excuse me, it's not, I'm sponsored by Shimano, I'm sponsored by G Loomis. The reason I'm sponsored by them is because I've tried my best to get on that field staff, guys. It's not because I just chose the first thing that come along.
Right.
Like, these things are legit. But I'm telling you what, you can throw this 843 into a bluegill nest and it feel like you threw it in on top of a freaking hand grenade. It's like it's the very first time I ever got a hit on that NRX. It was like I was taken back. I was like, whoa, what just happened here? Next thing I know, I got another hit. I was like, oh, so this is what I've been missing all my life. So they're really good. Speaking of the tackle box, I definitely want to show something here really quick.
All right,
and I hope you guys are planning on coming to this thing, but the tackle box is having their annual open house. Let me get this picture up here so you guys can see it. They're having their annual open house February 17th and 18th of this year, so a month and a half away. They do hourly drawings, guys, where you go there and they have prize packages. This is for Saturday and Sunday both. They give away a really nice rod and reel combo at the end of it on Sunday. You're entered into the drawing as soon as you walk in. You write your name on a ticket and put it in the thing. You don't have to be present to win. However, you're going to want to be. There's a lot of good stuff up there. Yeah. Myself, Drew Sadler, will be there for Shimano. We're going to have Nick Wilson from Angler is going to be there. I was told by Landon there. Again, hopefully Steve Riley's down there again this year. He had take care of some stuff on the hunting side of things last year. You're also going to get an appearance by the Shimano Experience team. So if there's ever a rod or a reel that you've wanted to hold or you wanted to get some hands-on time with, these people have the rods and reels. They have the know-how. They know all the information about it, and pretty much every one of them that they have you can buy at the tackle box, and it's substantial discounts. I think it's like 10 to 15% off. Don't quote me on this, but it seems to me like it's the whole store, man. It's like awesome deals. So I get up there and for those of you guys that get those $100 gift cards for Christmas or gift cards from the tackle box, that's the time to use them. Yeah. They carry Lew's, Strike King, or Impala, Plano, Zoom. They have the largest selection of Zoom baits I've ever seen in my life. Have you been there lately?
Yeah, they got it's a massive wall.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. Throw that down again, February 17th and 18th of this year. Get all your gear up there. And Josh was talking about tackle prep.
One thing I want to talk about is luckily this year I finally cleaned my garage out, so my boat is in the garage. And last year I noticed some of my hooks rust because that was my fault because I should have took them in the house, and I didn't do that, and that's my own fault. Just got lazy, to be honest with you. And but yeah, you want to make sure you keep all of your stuff, moisture. It gets hot and cold. People say if you don't like the weather in Southern Ohio, wait about 25-30 minutes, and it'll change. And sometimes it does. So if you're keeping your baits outside, move them inside. Put them in a garage, put them in a closet, put them, down in the basement or wherever you can put them at, just to keep them, cool and they not freezing and everything else.
Yeah, and I'll go with that. I'm a big fan of the Plano stuff with the anti-rust inhibitors in them. The thing works. They're a little bit more expensive, but Plano
He said, "I heard Greg make some nice spinner baits."
Dude,
Yeah.
don't even
We'll
don't
talk
even
about
let
that. He's jumping ahead.
yeah,
He's jumping ahead.
don't
of
let
us.
that secret get out, Aaron.
Yeah.
Man,
come on.
dude, I tell you what, go up there and ask for a little squeak spinnerbait and hold on. Dude is legit. Like, I'm telling you, legitimately, you want a spinnerbait or a buzzbait, and you don't want to pay out the rear end for it. Custom spinnerbait, hand painted, it's hand poured, and custom tuned by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Greg Drown at the Tackle Box. Go up there and check him out. Definitely. So, and we're going to be talking about that because that's funny because you just mentioned that because that was one of Josh's top 5 baits for this year was the
spinnerbait, man. How can you? It's like the all season.
Yeah,
it don't matter if it's summer, fall. It don't matter. Throw that thing. I promise you, you're going to catch fish on it. I like the black one. That's my opinion.
Yeah, though. So you're talking about more tackle prep. I try to clean my own reels. Is that a good idea? Probably not. I'm a tinkerer. I've done it for 5 or 6 years. Don't just go in there. I'm sure Dan will tell you. And don't just go in there and try to, don't just go in there and try to do it yourself the first time. Just pull out one of the exploded views of your reel and look at it really closely.
Or on Dan's Facebook right now, I think he had a Revo apart. And, man, there's like, I don't know, he could probably tell how many exact pieces there is, but there's a lot.
Yeah, so I've been trying to do it, and I bought an ultrasonic cleaner from Harbor Freight, and it's been working well for me, but I clean my reels, and here's one thing, a tip that I'm going to pass on to you guys that I learned from Drew Sadler. Drew, I don't know why I didn't think of this to start with, like, years ago. I'm just an idiot, I guess, but let's just say you fish. Say you have this reel and you have it spooled up with, I don't know, 40, 50 pound Super Slick Power Pro. You're using it for a pitching rod. You're only using half of that line. Power Pro, most all braids anyway, they stay good. You're not going to break them off much. They don't fray that wet or that bad. So what I would do is I would just like strip it off, put all new on. Well, here's a tip for you. Tie the end of that line off of that rod onto another reel and reel that line onto another reel. That way you have the back half of that line on the other end of the reel now. So you're using the back half of it now. So you're going to double the life of your Power Pro. Yeah. Braid is not cheap. I guess you could potentially do it with mono or fluoro too, but I just never did think about it. Why? It's little things like that is why I enjoy doing this stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of like using the other end, right?
Yeah, the back half. So, there's one tip there for you.
Yeah.
But another thing that I do that most people probably do too is I destroy my boat when I get bored. I just get out there and I'll rearrange tackle that doesn't need, I guess I'm just getting pumped up for the fish season. Here's the thing, like I'll be the first to tell you when the season ends, guys, I fish so much, it's unbelievable. Like I fish a ton. I know a lot of you guys do too. But when it gets to the point of at the end of the season, I'm like, man, I don't care if I ever see this freaking fishing boat the rest of my life. Like I am so beat down, so over it. I don't care if I won $5,000 the last tournament. I'm like, man. Yeah. And then I swear to you, it ain't 2 weeks later, I'm like, gosh, I need to go fishing again. Yeah. So I'm always out there. But one of the things that I am doing now, and Josh and I are doing, and I'm looking into the T&H Marine stuff. We're looking for tackle organizers that we can put on our rod lockers, or rod lids. T&H Marine makes some really good stuff. I watched some guys on YouTube. Guy was just like nonchalantly drilling giant holes in his lid of his boat.
Do that,
That's not for me. I mean, he was taking like a 1/2-inch drill bit and just he didn't care. He was putting lag bolts through there and tightening them up. I was like, wow, I want to have that storage capability.
We thought we had a good idea though.
Yeah, we did, and I was like, so I told Josh, I was like, man, I got these really, really powerful rare earth magnets. I said, let's just put these things on the back of some like 1/2-inch angle and then magnetize them to our deck lids. Well, that was a great idea until we realized the deck lids are aluminum.
Yeah. Stratus, good job.
Yeah, they.
I like my Stratus though.
The reason I got onto that topic is that Kyle Malone, my buddy, has got his Nitro Z21, and he has some. Actually, T&H Marine makes them. They're magnetized hook lure hangers, and he has them underneath his door of his main deck. And I don't know, they must be steel structures underneath his boat. I don't know, but they stick very well. If you guys have any tips or techniques to get what I'm talking about is when you open a lid, I want to have some clips where I can clip some bags of bait, stuff that I'm using that day, so I don't have to dig for them, stuff that I use a lot of times, more regular than the other.
One of the things that we talked about was like you go in the convenience store, like where the bag chips are or whatever you can do if you can snap them all. I don't know if you can buy those. I need to look into a little more, but Aaron said to buy small moisture control packets and the little tubes and throw them in your Plano boxes for rust proof. So
yeah, so somebody actually told me that
and
the other day.
Things to say do not eat.
Yeah,
right?
the silica packets is what you're talking about, and that makes sense. I never thought of that. Do you have a problem with hooks getting stuck in them, or do you just like throw them in a spot by themselves? I think that's the whole deal. Like, I don't think it's Plano. I think it's who's the other company that makes the Z-Rust stuff? I don't know either, but it may be Plano. I don't think it is. I think Z-Rust is another company. But, it takes some moisture out of the air. I don't know how many times I've had $100 worth of Mustad Gamakatsu hooks in a box go in there after fishing a tournament in the rain, and I've opened it up, closed it back, not even thought about it for a month later, open it back up, and, one thing I do now is I keep hooks that I'm not using in the actual package they come in until I need them. I used to rip them all apart, dump them in little containers in my thing so I can get them out of there easily. You're going to, waste a lot of money that way.
Plastic Tube says you can throw them wherever.
Okay, yeah, so.
Don't eat them. All right?
Yeah, silica is not good to eat. Yeah, so.
All right, and moving on here, we're going to talk about the top 5 producer baits for us in 2017, and of course I've pretty much already said what I like to throw, and I think my favorite lure, like I said, was a black and blue jig, and I love that jig. I like the small beaver from React Innovations on it as my trailer. I think it's the one I love. It's called Sprayed Grass, I think is the collar. It's kind of like if you're familiar with KVD, it's the rodent. But that is, it's just a good bait to throw, just as far as the design and everything, and put it on a trailer. And then my next one is going to be, of course, the black spinner bait. And man, I'm telling you what, the black spinner bait, I loved it. Man, I'm telling you, I've done also on the river this year. I had a black and yellow, black and I think a white one. I think it was a little mixture of both. I put my own skirt on them. I like the willow blades. I threw a Colorado too, but I like spinner baits, man. It's just kind of like them ones from, like I said, every season that you can use it, just throw it, man. It'll catch fish. And something I got turned on to this year was good old trusty, and I got a good story about this one, is the Ned rig, made by Z-Man. I think most of you guys will be able to see it here. We go to Lake St. Clair, and I decide I'm going to throw these things. And got a buddy at work told me about them. So I put it on, and I'm throwing it, and I'm trying to get my dad and my brother-in-law Jamie to put this bait on. And my dad looks at me and says, "I don't want one of them stupid-looking stick baits. That's stupid-looking." And after me wearing them out for like 2-3 straight hours, just pounding the fish, and they're not catching nothing, then them stupid stick baits turned into one of his favorite baits really quick. And he ended up catching. We had a good time, man. It's just fun to get out there with my dad and my brother-in-law, man. We have a good trip. But they have it in different colors. I think we used Canada Crawl and California Crawl and New Money, I think is what it's called, up there.
Greg at the tackle box actually makes
Yes.
his own head now
I'm-
for this that has its own bait keeper on them.
Yeah.
And if you've ever had a Z-Man bait, by the way, they stretch like this far before they won't even think about breaking. They're like bubble gum.
Yeah.
But Greg's hook holder, his Ned Rig bait holder,
Yeah.
works extremely well. You're going to get it a lot cheaper than you're going to get that Z-Man bait too.
Well, and I'm going to tell you this. They last longer than the Z-Man. That's the ones I have is from him. The Z-Man, you'll break a lot of hooks. I don't know why. They're real thin wire. But the one Greg makes up there, man, they're phenomenal. And Old Trusty is what I call it. Is definitely going to be my Watermelon Gold Cinco. And I throw a lot of it on a drop shot. I'll throw it wacky rigged on the drop shot, but I love Watermelon Gold Cinco, and Tyler's gonna bring a picture here. And if I'm fishing up here, I also use it for as you can see here, there's two different ways you can rig them up. The top one, of course, is going to be wacky rig. It's going to have a lot different action than the bottom one, but I love that lure, man. That is my confidence bait, I guess I'm going to say. If I'm struggling or whatever, I'm going to throw that. So, that's be my top 5 baits this year that I feel that produced the most fish for me. And I'm just like Tyler said, we kind of looked, and sometimes we only do stuff. And me and Tyler have been talking this winter about broadening it out and the and just trying new baits. And I think what we're going to try to do this year is we're going to do some research, we're going to call it, and we're going to go and use certain baits in certain areas of the lake, each change them up and see if we can, maybe, you never know, we might turn ourselves on some new baits or whatever. How about you, Tyler? What was your top 5 baits this year?
All right, so my top 5 baits, the very first one I'm going to show you guys here, you guys have all thrown it, I'm sure of it. This is a KVD 1.5 Strike King crankbait. This is my go-to crankbait when nothing else is biting. This is a Tennessee shad collar. If I told you the real collar I throw, I'd have to kill you. And I don't want to see any of you guys die out there. No,
I know what it is.
Yeah.
right
Misty
there.
bought me
Right there.
like 10 of them for Christmas, so you may not be able to get them from the tackle box anymore.
Misty, man. I wouldn't have told him that.
Yeah, Misty. Shh.
Yeah, shh. Misty, don't tell nobody.
But this 1.5, and I like, guys, it's a Bass Pro exclusive. You can't get them at the tackle box. I've tried to get him in there, and it's a Bass Pro exclusive. It's a rattling 1.5. I just think it causes more strikes, causes more reaction. Especially in dingy to dirty water, you're going to get a lot better reaction with that rattle. Sometimes it's good to fish a silent crankbait, and obviously you guys are aware of that stuff too. But this is definitely one of my go-to baits. And I caught so many this year on them. It's unbelievable. You can go pretty much anywhere in the country and catch fish on 1.5. The next producing bait for me would have been by far and away is going to be the shaky head, and this shaky head, it just produces for me. You can go out on YouTube, check out my video, Josh and I at Grayson Lake fishing the Pedro Bass Club tournament. This shaky head, and again, this comes into where I can pour my own lead. I pour my own shaky head weights here. I buy mustad hooks from the tackle box, pour them up. My favorite thing to throw on here, and I couldn't find a picture of them, is a Jackal Flick Shake 4.8 inch. And I will tell you the color of these because you're going to want to buy about 20 bags of them. They're in cola collar. It kind of looks like a purplish black collar.
Chuck Dotson said, "Is it root beer?"
Pretty much. It's almost
Aaron
a root
said
beer.
there's special colors at Bass Pro.
Yeah, there are special collars at Bass Pro, and that's one of the special collars. Oh no, Chuck, my collar is not root beer, but the actual chunk crawl that I use actually, or I use chunk crawls in that collar too. But and again, I love green pumpkin. Is the reason I threw this up there. Green pumpkin, just like the fella told me one time. Tyler, you can fish any color you want as long as it's green pumpkin. And that's the truth. I got more green pumpkin baits in my boat than anything else. So, and again, so that would be, my go-to for number 2. My number 3 bait this year was by far and away probably, it was probably the old wacky rig. And I fish a wacky rig a little different than most people. I fish a wacky rig that looks just like this. I have a Jackal tungsten. Actually, I told you guys I never fish tungsten. I found something I fish tungsten on. I buy Jackal tungsten shaky head, wacky rig. Sorry, they're weedless, just like you see here. But I caught so many fish on this, and it has a lot to do with the way it falls. And again, I use a Senko a lot of times, but my favorite thing to throw on here is a flick shake. The flick shake was actually designed for this style of fishing. The ends are poured to where they're all set, so when it sinks, both ends are moving differently than the other, so it gives a lot more action. And talking about, especially in finesse fishing, if you got some really finicky fish and you're trying to catch them, and you can't get them to bite, the wacky rig is going to be that bait for you.
Oh yeah.
The next one, my next thing is going to be something that all of you guys may use. I hope you do. And that's going to be a good old-fashioned Heddon bone white spook. This thing here catches them. I caught my very first muskie in my life this year on one of these things down in the Ohio River on the Maysville pool. Those of you guys that fish the river, is that considered the Meldal pool? Because Lawrence County's got a tournament on there, and they just on the schedule, this is Meldal. I'm not familiar. Is that below Maysville, or is that the Meldal pool there?
Don't he work on the boats, Michael?
Michael, yeah. Michael, you'd be
yeah,
a
Michael,
person.
you should know that.
So that would be my number 4. And last but not least, we threw this picture up there just a second ago, but this...
different brand, though.
It is a different brand. This is a Strike King KVD Perfect Plastic Rodent. I tell you, my favorite color in this is actually California Crawl. You can get it at the tackle box. I had him special order me a few packs, so if you guys buy him out, I'm going to hurt you. You can also pick him up at Walmart if he's out, but I'd say he'll keep him in stock now. And that's another thing about Greg, guys. If you want a bait and he can get it, he will order it for you as long as you go in there a few times. I would say you go in there and ask him to order it, and he'll order it for you, because that's what he's there for, guys, to help you guys out.
Right.
So, that was my top 5 baits. I caught more fish on a 1.5 than anything. Then went to a shaky head, and then probably going to look at a wacky rig. And then, I also caught a bunch of fish on like a 6XD from Strike King. I threw more deep diving crankbaits than I ever had in my life this year. And I loved it. I mean, we caught the crap out of them.
If you ain't digging, you ain't diving.
If you ain't digging, you ain't diving. That's exactly right.
All right, next thing we're going to talk about is like off-season, pre-season prep, whatever that's the pull below the green dam. So
okay, so that would be like the Maysville deal. Okay, yeah.
So we're going to talk about the pre-season prep, and like Tyler said, I don't know, my boat's tore all to pieces right now. Is stuff that we can control. We can't control the weather. We can't control the fish bite. We can't control, the wind or anything like that. But we can control certain things. And one is our equipment as far as our boat and whatever we have for that. And then the next thing would be your trailer. You got to get your trailer because that's what takes your boat to the lake. And doing some maintenance on it, I finally decided that I hated the incandescent lights. I've always hated them, but
I
was tired of popping them. And finally, somewhere in the tube chassis, I broke a wire. So now I have no parking lights aside. So if I'm going to pull in wire and I'm going to change the wire, I'm going to change the lights. So I did get on, and I ordered all new LED lights for my trailer. I'm going to rewire the whole thing. And then when it, so it comes your trailer, check your tires. Most of us have surge brake on. I don't think there'll be any boats out there that have electric brakes unless you got a big boat. But most of the boats, trailers, are going to have some surge brakes. So check the fluid in it. Bleed them. Get some help if you need to do that. Crawl under, check your pads on your surge brakes. I know Tyler, you got all 4-wheel, right?
I do. I was actually really surprised. I have a 2006 Stratus 201 Pro XL. It's got a dual axle trailer on it, but I was looking the other day because Josh and I over the winter are going to replace my surge actuator on my boat. We're going to try to fix this one first, but when I bought my boat, guys, the worst thing you can do to anything like that is leave it set. The guy I bought my boat off from put like 10 hours on this boat in like 7 years. It was like 6-7 years. It's crazy. Just sat in his garage, which was heated, which is good. Right. But anything that's got seals, anything that's got any kind of compression to it, it's going to break down. So I pulled my boat in in the past 2 years of me owning it, more than this guy had in 7 years. Well, stuff like that's going to break. So I realized that my brake actuator was leaking. Tried to get some things to fix it, tried to fix it myself, and the way it's like wedged in there is really tough by myself, so we're going to try to really fix that. But he said, I was really surprised because I looked on my wheels because I was going to have to buy a brake actuator, and these brake actuators come in 2 different ones. You can actually get one that has for single axle brakes or dual axle brakes. Well, I called the company and they said, well, some boats have just the brakes on one axle, which is yours, right?
That's mine. I got a dual axle trailer, but only the rear axle's got the brakes on it.
Yeah. So, and mine, I looked at mine, and all 4 of my wheels have disc brakes on them, it's got a lot of stopping power, I guess. But, that's the biggest thing is I'm doing some preventative maintenance, if you will, trying to get things better and trying to make things, more safe for me to fish. I'm very leery about buying stuff like boats and stuff off people that I don't know. I found my boat on Craigslist, to be honest with you. The guy I met, talked to him for a whole week, called him about it every day, bugging him about it, make sure he hadn't sold it. He eventually got tired of me talking to him, and he said he's going to hold it for me until I can get there. So, I talked to the guy. We had a big conversation about it. But there's nothing you can do anymore, guys. I know Aaron just bought a brand new Big O boat. Or the Elite X, and that thing is super sweet. I've never even heard of them. I guess they're from Okeechobee, I imagine. Aaron, you can give us some more information about that. Post the comments in there. But
I just want to ride on it once with a 300.
That's all. So what's the top speed on that thing? Is it is it an 83 mile an hour Stratus? I'm just asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. Yeah.
My boat won't get 83, but I hear tell that you had a 201 Evo that would do 83, which is moving. And that was with a 250, I'm pretty sure, which is it's getting it.
That's hauled in the mail.
Yeah. So some of the other some maintenance that I have to do on my boat this year is I'm having to get really, really technical about this stuff, guys. I have a problem with my boat. I'm going to take it to the mechanic here soon. One of 3 things happen. I'm hoping it's number 1.
Yeah, me too.
I'm similarly okay with it being number 2, and number 3 is bad. Right now the problem is my motor is not charging my cranking battery. Well, it doesn't mean I just bought a brand new cranking battery this year, so it's not really that bad. But here's the deal: some of your boat electronics, most of them actually run off there, depending on how they're wired, and the live oil pumps run from that cranking battery. The reason they're done that way is so when you start the motor up, the motor with the stator and everything actually charges the battery back up as you run. So it's basically a never-ending cycle. Well, mine right now is not charging my cranking battery when the system is running. When I start my big motor, it doesn't charge my battery. I've checked the smart gauge. I've checked all my graphs when I'm running. Talked to the fella at Freedom Outdoors who's going to do the work for me. And he said it could be one of 3 things. One, it could be a fuse. That's the number 1 I'm hoping for.
15-cent fuse.
15-cent fuse would be extremely awesome. However, I won't get that lucky. I promise you guys.
Never know, man.
Check back in a month. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I'll let you know on episode like 14 because that's about how long it's going to take me to pay for it. But number 2, he said the stator could be bad, which The stator is what spins when the motor's running. It's basically
Right.
like a magnet. It generates electricity, puts it back into the battery, which I thought all along. I'd done a lot of research online, and again, it's kind of like, it's kind of like going to like WebMD. Like if you go there immediately, you have cancer.
Yeah, you're going to die in
Yeah,
5 days.
yeah. So I know better than that.
Right.
But I went and I asked some people on the Stratus Facebook group that I'm part of, and I checked with them. I made sure that I just asked people, and then this was talking to the Freedom guy, and he said one of three things: fuse, which again that's not going to be mine. I hope it is, but it's not going to be mine. 2, stator could be bad, which I'm okay with that because the price tag on that fixed labor and all is right at $700 to $800, which is not good.
That's
but
a lot better than the next option.
So number 3 is the EMM, the electronic motor module, could be bad. It has 2 different sides to it. By the way, I have a 250 E-Tech Evinrude, and it's not the G2. It's one of the older. It's not real. It's 2006, but it's not the G2. But it has a liquid cooled EMM, which is crazy. They're running water through electronics.
That's smart.
yeah. I mean, it obviously doesn't touch the electronic stuff, but but I can understand because it's going to get hot. But the mechanic at Freedom told me that there's 2 sides to that thing. He actually learned I learned a few things from him. It takes 55 volts of electricity to run the injectors for my motor. So he said the EMM is producing that, or the motor won't run. And guys, it runs well. It doesn't run great as far as like. It's not an 80-mile-an-hour boat. I think the prop shaft's bent.
Aaron said 84 empty, 78 to 79
Are you kidding me? We need to get together this spring. I want you to let you drive my boat. Josh and I together, we're not, little lads by any means. We were coming downriver from the dam last week, fully loaded, full tank of gas at 70, 71 mile an hour.
Right.
Running a 27 pitch turbo, which all of the stuff I even talked to Aaron. He said a lot of that, it's a Yamaha prop. They did put them on those for a while. I'm looking for a 28 pitch raker. If anybody has one of those, I know you can't really find rakers anymore. Raker 2 would be awesome. 28 pitch raker 2. I would like to send it off. Maybe have Mark Croxton or something work it. If I can get the boat to 75 mile an hour, I would be extremely happy. However, 70 mile an hour, I've never caught a fish at 70 mile an hour, but if you go 70, you pretty much want to go 75. If you go 75, you're going to go 80. But I have a feeling my prop shaft's bent too. I don't get a lot of vibration, but you can spin it, and you can see a very small difference in the rotational degree there.
Aaron said he'll set it up for you.
There we go. So we were coming down the river at 70, 71 mile an hour, and like I said, collectively we're 500 pounds. So plus all the gear in my boat, so 70 mile an hour coming down the river is not a big deal for me. I'm happy with that, but I would love to get with you, Aaron, see what you can do with it. Like I said, it could be one of those deals where I'm sure it's seat time. I feel better in my boat driving it right now. When I very first got it at 65, 66 mile an hour, bud, I was freaking ripping the leather off my seat, if you know what I mean. My butthole was freaking puckered coming down the river. I was like, I had my dad. The funniest damn story in the world, man. Me and Dad, the first day I get the boat, or the next day, me and Dad put it in the river. The guy that I bought it off from tells me the gas gauge doesn't work. So he told me, I watched him pull out of a gas station. He's like, I just filled the boat up. He said, if you don't buy it, I'm going to go fishing this weekend. So I filled the boat up. So, long story short, I buy it off the guy. Next day, Dad and I put it in the river just to run it and put it through its paces. And we're cruising down the river about 65, 66 mile an hour and doing the god-awfulest chine walk you've ever seen in your life, man. I'm like it just one side to the other. So I'm messing with the hydraulic jack plate and trying to get it, because I never ran a hydraulic jack plate. So I get it to where it runs about 65 mile an hour, on plane with me and Dad and I in it. Well, turns out it had less than a gallon of gas in it. The gas gauge does work. You just have to put $109 worth of gas in it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, so he gotcha. He didn't put any gas in the boat, but anyway. But I'd love to give it to you guys. But the biggest thing
you
about
thought you was getting a full tank.
yeah. So
he made some money on that deal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, $109.
Well, he put a gallon, so we'll give him $106.
Yeah.
That's about
I will tell you that my trolling motor batteries are good because how do I figure that? I run out of gas 2 days later. Misty and I run out of gas at the green pillars, the barge pillars there on the Ohio side before you get to Sandy, and fished all the way across the river and down to the Little Sandy before my dad could bring me 5 gallons of gas, and it didn't die. So pretty good batteries. But like I said, the third option for that motor is the EMM is bad. One side of it's bad, and the EMM alone is $1,300. That's not counting labor to put it on.
Yeah, let's hope it ain't that.
So that's what I'm going. So what are you doing right now other than your lights for your boat?
Well, I checked out the tires and realized that my spare tire is looking a little
worse for wear.
Well, it's just glad it's a spare tire. It's got a little bit of dry rot, but I think that's just where it's sitting there. I'm gonna there's one tire that's probably about 60%, and I'm gonna pull it off, use it as my spare, and take it and put a new tire on the spare there and put it back on my trailer. I redid all my bearings last year. I redid new hubs. If you guys don't know about the UFP system, their system for their brakes is crazy. It works pretty good, but it was almost like welding rods holding the brake caliper on. It comes loose, and I'm up Michigan, and after I get home, I realized it actually hit my wheel and grooved my wheel a little bit. Didn't really hurt but I scrapped all that, and of course, they got this new and improved style when I'm trying to figure parts out for that to fix it. So I ended up gutting it and just replacing everything. And and another thing is check the oil in your lower units. They hold maybe like 2 or 3 of them tubes. I mean, you're talking cheap, and
you can
that's
buy
the heart of it right there.
You can buy a quart of that stuff, I think, for like $20, and I think they might hold right at a quart. But and Josh says, make sure you check that. You should have checked it already by now, guys. It's frigid this time of year. If you don't have a heated garage, you definitely need to check that because if you have some seals bad in your lower unit and you get some water in there, we all know that's not going to be good. Speak from experience. Kyle Malone, one of my best friends, they were fishing. We went down to the Bassmaster Classic, and no, we weren't fishing the Bassmaster Classic. We were down there for the Bassmaster Classic, and we were down at Lake Hartwell where they were having it 2 years ago. And we just wanted to follow some pros and try to catch some of those big spots that are swimming around down there. And we knew it was going to be a lot warmer in South Carolina than it isn't here. There was like 8 inches of snow here in Ohio when we left. We get down there thinking it's going to be a blustery 75 to 80 degrees. Nope, coldest Bassmaster Classic in history. 19 degrees at takeoff one morning.
Nice.
They were having to spray hot water on boat trailers to get boats unthawed before they would put them in the water where all those pros have their boats washed every night in between tournaments. So, it was so we went down there and I drove all the way back not thinking anything about it. Put Kyle's boat back up in his garage. Then that was in March, so we started, I guess it was February. We went there, come back, started fishing in March, went down to Grayson Lake to do some pre-fishing for the Lawrence County Bass Club tournament. Dump his boat in the water, start the motor starts right up, goes to put it in gear, and his throttle position lever won't go, it won't move, nowhere, just won't go anywhere. Well, we found out the reason that is the fact that his lower unit had frozen, busted. He had some seals that went bad while we were down in South Carolina. We came back, didn't think to check anything like that. Went fishing, and it had got water in the lower unit, froze. Guys, water when it freezes, it's going to solidify, and solidifying water will break aluminum. It's just a simple fact of things. So, like you said, even if you're not going to replace it, crack that bottom. If you leave the top, it has 2 different, screws. If you leave the top set screw in and you just let the bottom one out, it'll actually just dribble a few times. And if you see like milky or white colored stuff, you're probably going to have a problem. You're definitely going to want to drain that out and at least put some new in there and try to see what's going on there.
The next thing is, guys, and I know I say this is cheap, and under $50, $70 probably for any kind, and that is your water pump. That is the heart of them motors, man. If you ain't pumping water, you're gonna burn your motor up. And I don't know about you, but when I drive, I look forward. That's me personally.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about what's back there. But I always check it and make sure you got everybody calls it the pee hole or the pee stream or whatever you want to call it. But check the water pressure, check your gauges. Always when you're going down the lake, man, look down, see if your gauges, see if your water pressure. Tyler's got a hydraulic jack plate. If he's got it too high, his water pressure is going to be down, and he needs to drop it back down. And that's something we will probably talk about later. But as far as preparation for the winter, guys, man, I'm getting cabin fever. If you guys see my garage, my boat's tore all apart. Lights are hanging everywhere, but they came in today. So I got my heater out there. I'm ready to get out there and get it going, and it's going to be bright. I figured if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do some modifications. So
Yeah.
if you see me backing up at the boat ramp, I'm going to be bright. So I went all LED, got some backup lights, and they're little 4-inch lights that I'm going to back up with. This will be pretty good, and I'm pretty excited to get them all done and not have to worry about no bulbs popping anymore, man. Them LEDs is the way to go. I mean, you can't go wrong with them. I mean, for the lifespan you get out of them. And now the prices are coming down so much. And the brand I bought was Technique, which is TECNIQ. They're made in USA. Like Tyler said, well, I mean, I'm a union worker. I like to buy most stuff I can from USA, American made, and that kind of is what sold me on this. And as Dan Mon says there too, while you're checking oil, take your props off and see if there's any fishing line around your prop shaft, and that'll tear up your seals too. So good thinking, Dan. Appreciate that.
Talk to Kyle about that. Dude, this is a great story. We were fishing a Teenage Marine BFL in Lake Erie Super Tournament. I'm waiting. I usually put Kyle in and get his boat back out of the water because, again, I fish as a co-angler, so I don't have to worry about getting my boat out. So, and one thing about it is he trusts me to get his boat back in the water and out. But Kyle's had so much trouble with people like crushing his freaking trailers and stuff. Like, he literally had one person run up the side of his trailer, busted a brand new fender. Had a lady. He drew a lady in the regional last year down at Kentucky Lake. And either her or the other guy that he had those 2 days jackknifed his brand new truck into his trailer and put a big dent in it. So he's not had good luck. But so I'm watching Kyle and I look at it and I'm put the trailer in water. Next thing I know, I see his co-angler get up and he looks like he sets the hook and he's reeling. I was like, no way this guy just caught a freaking fish waiting to get because there's still 10 minutes left of the tournament.
Right.
And this was the first day, so it wasn't off limits. So he's sitting there fighting this, what I think's a fish. Nope, it had it wrapped around Kyle's prop, and Kyle had put it in gear, and it ripped. Kyle said it ripped probably 150 yards of braid off this guy's rod before he knew what was going on. Kyle said the guy reached up and caught it, so he ended up having to take his prop off to get all that stuff up.
Oh my!
Speaking of lights, guys, does anybody know how to make these? Bass Cat has these things called puddle lights, and I dig them, dude.
Yeah, they're cool.
I want them. It's a want. This is not a need. This is a want.
Not a need.
But this is a want.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing looks so awesome. Again, Bass Cat boats are awesome, but they call them puddle lights, but I've done some research. These things are called projection welcome lights, I think. You can get them made pretty much with every logo you want.
Terry's watching. Oh, Terry, can you make
Terry,
that?
yeah. How can we do something like this? Can you do something like this?
Terry.
I'm interested in it. By the way, guys, Terry Doolin's on here from Fast Signs over in Ashland, Kentucky.
Right.
This guy, we're going to be heading over there in the next week or so to do a commercial for his business to let you know what all he can do.
Anything.
Embroidery, vinyl, printing, stuff like the stuff you see behind me. You can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm in the market for these things, but obviously I'm not sticking Bass Cat stuff on my Stratus. I want to make them custom. So any of you guys know how to do this. And again, I can get online and find them. And you can get pretty much whatever logo you want put on there, but they're $70 a piece, and I'm not interested in them that. From Bass Cat, they're $49, so there's got to be a way to get that a little cheaper, I would say.
$70 buys an awful lot of fishing baits.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, $70 does buy a lot of fishing baits. So yes. By the way, I saw my cousin Kip holler at us there. Hey brother, what's up, man?
Yeah, man.
We're trying to get all we can here, talking about fishing. So last but not least, guys, I've been asked several times about how to become a sponsored angler. First and foremost, I want to let you know that I am not a sponsored angler. Like, when I consider a sponsored angler, that's somebody that gets paid to fish.
Right.
I do not. I'm hoping that some of my sponsors here this year are going to, help me out monetarily. That's kind of in the works. I'm hoping that's happening. Right now, when I say I'm quote-unquote sponsored, is that, I'm on a promotional staff. Guys, that's what pro staff means. Pro staff means promotional staff. That doesn't mean that you're a professional angler, that somebody goes out and says, here's $1 million worth of baits, go catch all the fish you want. Very rarely. I have 2 companies that I get stuff for free from. I'm not going to mention those companies' names. I appreciate the stuff that they give me. I use everything they give me, and but I want you to understand, when I say that I'm sponsored and I'm promoting all this stuff, it's not for the fact that they're paying me to do this. I want you to know that, for one, because the market is so flooded with people trying to get free shit. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, no doubt.
And you're seeing this rise to this thing called National Pro Staff. I wish I'd have thought of this 5 years ago. These dudes have a gold mine.
Right, yeah.
What they are, they're a company, and they're like the middleman between all these big giant corporations like Strike King. I saw that Amphibia Eyewear is on there. Which, speaking of eyewear, guys, I just picked up another sponsor, hopefully Solar Bow Eyewear, which we'll talk about them as we go on. Gary Nesty. They're actually located in Indiana, so they are, an American-based company too. So, but one thing about it is, the market is so flooded with people trying to get on these pro staffs, and I think it's because they think that, you're getting free stuff. I very, very rarely get any free things. I would like to give a shout out to some companies here that have helped me out, and it's not they're giving me free stuff, which we'll talk about that in a second. But what I've done was I sat down and I thought about all the stuff that I use on a day-to-day basis. Like, if Josh and I were going to go to the tackle box, what kind of reel would I buy? Well, without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to be a Shimano reel.
No doubt.
In my opinion, they make the best quality stuff on the planet. They are, they're not an American company. They don't claim to be. They're, they are Japanese based. They do what, they have a lot of technology over there. Guys, these things work. So I started talking to them. So what I did is I done some research. I didn't just, start. First thing I want you to understand is, don't fire off an email to every company and just change the name. Don't say, here's who I am, here's what I want your stuff, how much stuff can you give me. The whole thing about this is building a brand, or making a brand about yourself, something that you're going to benefit the company by bringing them on, because, guys, you're a liability to that company.
Right.
Like I said, let's just say that I own a company. I own Fishin' with Tyler. I sell bass replicas. Well, Josh goes out, has a Fishin' with Tyler bass replica, and all of a sudden, for lack of a better term, he's inexposed in that photo. Well, I'm now part of that photo, whether I want to be or not. So, one thing is, you realize that you are a liability to these companies, and you need to build a relationship with these companies before you go out and say, hey, just give me free stuff. Josh is just now getting into the ball game. How do you hear about companies that want sponsorship? How have you heard about them?
Well, most, like Tyler said, I'm not going to go out and email people that I don't use their stuff. I mean, why would you go out and talk to a company about their product that you have no clue about? It's like JB's fish sauce. I'm telling you guys, I used it. Tyler turned me on to it, man. He gave it to me. And I'm telling you, this stuff is awesome. I mean, and I believe in it. And that's the only reason. And I joined their pro staff this year. Shout out to Jim Block there. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And just, I'm not going to go out here and email, Apple if I don't use an app, if I got a Samsung phone.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go out and email Daiwa when my favorite rod or my favorite stuff to throw is Shimano. You don't just go and just spread this casting net and think, oh man, I'm going to get all these sponsors, because there's 15,000 other people like you emailing them.
Probably every day, probably 15,000 a day, and that's why this NPS, this National Pro Fast stuff's got it going on, because they consider themselves this middleman, so they contact these companies. So there's only one company,
right?
And they're contacting Strike King, they're contacting, I think 13 Fishing was on there. That they contact these companies and say, hey, if you guys are going to accept Pro Staff this year, let us do the groundwork. Let us do the legwork. We'll screen. We'll do all the interviews. The only thing you got to do is tell us how many you're going to do. And then at the end of the things, you pay up to $20 to $25 per application for NPS. I did see, I think the other day, if you go premium with them, it's like $70 or $80 a year. And I think you can apply to how many ever you want at that point. But if you are not paying them, it's $20 per application. So they're just paying middleman. They're charging you $20, and you may not even get a spot on the Pro Staff.
And I'll tell you this, guys, most of my sponsors that I've picked up this year, I have personally emailed them myself. And I'm like Tyler said, I didn't go out and send an email and then, in right here, I want to change the name. Tyler helped me with what I should put on there and how I should approach it. But when I talked to the companies, it was companies I believe. It's stuff that I have. It's stuff that I've already purchased their product, and I like it. It's like the rod glove. It's their quality built,
Yeah.
They're, for protecting your rods, and you're spending, anywhere from $100 to, the Conquest 700. But if you're spending that kind of money on a rod, what's $8, $9, $10 for a cover?
Yeah, something to put on.
And a rod reel or your reel protector that's going to protect it.
Yeah, and it's an investment.
It's kind of like, why would you go out and buy this much stuff whenever they say, but if you pay $15, it'll protect it. But you say, well, I don't want the $15 protection.
Yeah.
So that's taking care of your equipment there, and you guys, I know Tyler's rods. I've stepped on them. He stepped on them. I've stepped on my rods. Yeah, you watch the GoPro of us at lakes. You get a hook, you're fishing tournament, you get a fish on, you're going to step on them. Or you're going to thumb inside the box, or you're going to put them in the back of a pickup truck. Protect your stuff, man. You're spending this money. It's an investment. I don't go out and buy, Zebco 33 Classic, which I'm not knocking Zebco 33 Classic, but I'm going to go out and buy a nice rod and reel, and I'm going to try to take care of it as a long term, not as a throwaway.
Yeah, because there's an investment, like you said.
So that's what these companies are doing. They're making an investment to you that you're going to go out and you're going to share their name, and you're going to have, like Terry at Fast Signs. I've dealt with Terry for quite a few years, and before he became Fast Signs, and he makes quality stuff. So I wouldn't go and have Terry say, or send people there and say, hey man, go up there and get a shirt made when I can show you the shirt, or whatever it may be. So don't go out emailing 1,500 different companies. I'm using an exaggerated number.
And that's the reason the market is so flooded, guys. I'm a big proponent of actually calling the company. Have the gumption to call somebody and ask them for a staff position.
Right.
Anybody can type up an email and fire that thing to 3,000 companies. Am I too proud to say that I've not done that? No, I've done that. I started out that way. I've learned now that the whole deal about becoming a part of a pro staff for something, in my opinion, is one, you have to make yourself marketable for that company. And it's just like, who was it? I don't think it was FDR. I think it was, anyway, one of the presidents, slipped my mind now, but he said, that's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That was Anyway, it might have been Nixon. Shoot, I don't know. I'm terrible with politics, but
JFK.
It was JFK. There you go, JFK. It was
Oh
it?
man, you're.
Hey, I teach technology, bud. I can tell you what kind of iPhone was out 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
But and it is that you have to promote yourself to the company. Here's why that you want me on your pro staff. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I tell the companies, and I'm not ashamed of it. I have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel just broke 175,000 views. It's not a lot. However, there's nobody else in this area that has 175,000 views on a YouTube channel. There is one guy in my area. Check him out. His name's J0, I think. He's one of my students' dad. Yeah. If you like catfishing, you like this dude is like
Salisbury steak, man.
He's like a prepper, man. This guy legit does some really cool stuff. So search J0, I believe it is, on YouTube. The guy got really a lot of cool stuff, and he's got he's got a fish. I can't think of the fish. If you go to J0, you'll see his fishing page there. Oh, it's called Regular Dude Fishing, I think is what it is. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure it's Regular Dude Fishing. But if you go to J0, you can see it. But there's not too many people that have 175,000 views on a YouTube channel around here, so I have that to promote. I can do stuff like this.
Yeah.
Josh and I set out to create a live video series that we could talk fishing.
Yeah.
There's not too many people doing this. We're doing live overlays as we're talking to you guys. Next week, 2 weeks from when we bring some stuff in, we're going to bring in some live callers. We're just kind of doing last week we had Drew Sadler and Landon Bloomer from Angler, Drew Sadler from Shimano. But it went awesome. We had them talking, our audio on our side kind of crapped out on us. So we want to do a soft release, make sure all the audio is good. So hope everybody out there can hear us.
Yeah.
Chuck says he didn't need more baits and needs a new boat. Yeah, that's...
yeah.
So the next thing I will say from my point of view is follow through with what you say you're going to do for the company.
Right.
I build a relationship with their pro staff manager. Gene at Teenage Marine. The dude kind of stays in the background. He fishes with some giants, man. He's like out with Zona the other day, and he like catches. He's all the time fishing with these uber stars in the fishing world. But I emailed him instantaneously. I had an email back. Hey Tyler, what's going on? Because I asked him. I emailed him. It's like, hey Gene, what can I do to better myself? Because right now I get a percentage off. That's basically what most pro staffs are. So I am constantly trying to contact these people, not overly amounts, but I contact them once or twice a year. Hey, just to let you know who I am again. Here's my latest video on YouTube. Here's what I'm doing to promote you guys. What can I do to become a better part of your company? What do you need done? What can I do that I'm lacking? What don't you like that I'm doing now that I need to stop? What can I do to take that next step up into the ranks of your company to where eventually, hopefully, I can get that stuff for free? But right now, and again, I'm working on that. So start a relationship with these people. Jim Block from JB's, I consider him one of my friends. I've never laid eyes on this guy other than in photos. We've never talked on the phone. We email, we talk via text. But I can tell you he's a legit dude, but he knows who I am. If I text him, he knows that I am. I've done this for him. I've done this for his company. Yeah. He can say that, okay, if somebody mentions Tyler Waller, they'll be like, oh yeah, I know Tyler. This is what he's done for me. He's part of my company. This is what, whatever. But I'd say, not to beat a dead horse, but make a personal connection. If you really want to get sponsored by a company, call them or email them. It's like, hey, here's my number. Here's my name. I'm looking to become a part of your pro staff. What can I do for this upcoming season that will better my chances to become a part of your pro staff for the following year? It's just like going out and doing basically like a job shadow or something. Just if you go out to like say marathon, you're working under somebody and you go out and donate a week of your time, like in college. You just want to say I want to be a chemical engineer. You contact them and say, I'd like to do a job shadow. You go out there and show them that you're willing to work. They then know who you are. So when that job comes up and they see your name, like, oh, isn't that the guy that spent 2 weeks of his time in here for free? Sure, we're definitely going to give him an interview. You have to consider yourself to be a part of the team before, because like I said, hundreds, if not millions of people are contacting these companies on a regular basis trying to become a part of their pro staff.
You know, that's like my brother-in-law Jamie there. If you talk to him, I mean, my favorite, I have a Shimano Sidica, and that's one of my favorite reels. You know, they're like $120, something like that, right there somewhere retail. In that area, 120, 130, or 140 maybe now. I can't remember. But if you, and I told him, man, he had one from like a cheap one. I was like, man, you gotta throw this. Just throw this one. And I handed it to him, and he threw it, and he was like, oh my goodness, man, that's totally different. And I'm like, well, and he had a cheaper model. Well, next thing I know, he calls me up like 2 weeks later. He goes up to Tackle Box and goes, man, I just bought 2 rod and reel combos. I was like, did you really? He's like, yeah. He's like, and now, man, he loves it. And he's like, he's throwing a bait caster. And, and guys, I know this is weird, but I've kind of leaned more towards spinning reel again, on certain baits. And I never really had any spinning reels. And I plan on buying me one before long, and I probably will. But I have one that's old Shimano that I like. It's a nice one. But I like it. But just don't go out and just email everybody just because they have a company. Go up, meet them, and see what you can do for them. And like you said, when we say sponsored, we're pro staff. We're a promotional staff. We're to tell people about their products. We get percentages off a product, whatever it may be. But, that's basically all, for getting sponsors. That's all you really need to know is just make a personal connection and just don't spread a net, just pick them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, take for example Angler, who I consider one of my, my primary sponsor. As a matter of fact, I figure that they're probably my top sponsor. I know Landon and Nick really well. I've went to several outings with them. I went and worked ICAST with them all, last year. Went down, Drew and Sportco gave me a ticket to go to ICAST, which was amazing. Went down there, worked the angler booth for 2 days. But I met Landon at the Tackle Box's open house in the beginning of 2017, and we got to talking. I was like, dude, technology and fishing is right in my wheelhouse. Like, I'm a technology guy. That's what I do. I teach kids about technology every day, and I love to fish. Like, how can I help you guys better this company? Yeah. And we just had a conversation for about, we were there for 10 hours during 2 days talking about this thing. And, I had been dabbling with the Angler app, but I'd never met the guy. When I met Landon and we started talking about what all the cool stuff it did, I started then using it, and then I've built a relationship with the company to where, again, they know what's going on. They know me, Tyler. Oh, there's Tyler. I know him. I've went to several retreats with him. Went to their lawyer's house there a few months ago and done some product research on the new Angler stuff that's coming out. So I've tried my best to become a part of the company, not really expecting anything in return. For the simple fact is, I'm going to use their stuff anyway. Which, by the way, one thing that I want you to understand is the Angler app right now is totally free. Go out and download it right now. Just quit what you're doing. I'll give you permission to stop this. Go get the Angler app, because here's the deal. The stuff I showed you guys 2 weeks ago when you get the logbook, and that used to be $50 a year. That is now 100% free when you download the app. You get that web connectivity now for free, which is amazing. Definitely download the Angler app. But
Did you see the email they sent out the other day about how many casts?
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Some numbers were unbelievable.
300,000 casts.
Just crazy.
One guy beat me out on time on the water.
I've seen it.
It was like 14 days, 9 hours or something. I was like right at 14 days.
Yeah.
I'm coming for you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm coming for you.
This year. That's our goal this year.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the
what
top.
He had last year.
I'm going to be on the top 10 list of the Angler app for sure. And that's going to be fishing. But so guys, we're not going to take much more of your time here. Appreciate you guys sticking around with an hour and a half with us now. We don't want to go too big and beyond that. But one thing that I want to make sure that we do here every week is we want to give a shout out to some people that are that are part of the show. Again, I showed you guys Aaron's fish there a second ago, and that's what we're going to try to do right now. Is I want to show you guys a few fish that have been sent into us from people that have, that are part of the show or have been part of the show. Very first picture here I'm going to show you is a fella named Mark Hickey. Hickey? I'm pretty sure it's Hickey.
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry, Mark, if I got your last. I'm pretty sure it's Mark Hickey, I think.
Okay.
But anyway, a couple giants here. You see, dude's caught some toes. Man, he sent probably 10 pictures, and every picture were like, oh my God.
Yeah, we were having a hard time deciding which ones to use. And I'm telling you, man, he's caught some slaunches this year.
Yeah, so that's crazy. So, Mark. Matter of fact, let's just see if we can't throw up 2 pictures of him. This dude's, like I said, he's caught some big ones. Here's those. Let's see here. That was, I'm not really sure where that's at, Lake Norris or might be Chickamauga. This
I think
right
that
here,
one was Norris and this was Chickamauga.
This one's definitely Chickamauga here.
Yeah.
Giants.
Yeah,
dudes,
at that thing,
look at those things.
It's awesome.
By the way, did you guys see
awesome.
that monster they caught at Chick there the other day? It was like, oh my God, it was a monster. It was ginormous. Chick's got some giant bass in it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so if you guys want to see your pictures up here as we go on, just submit them or comment them in the pictures, and we'll definitely get them out. I know Chuck there on Lake Erie catches some toad walleye. So we'll get some of his pictures here. But so there's Mark Hickey there. He's from Kentucky. I think
around Lexington area.
Yeah, somewhere around Lexington, I believe. And then let's see.
Where was the rest?
I thought I had more pictures than this. Apparently, I know where they're at.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. Guys, yeah. So if you want to comment, we'll save them from the computer. We'll save them and get them on there for you guys. We want to show guys, it's all about fishing. It's all about you guys. And I love seeing pictures of big fish. How awesome is it to just have, somebody with huge, 5-6 pounders in their hands, man. That's just not normal. It's not like,
Not around here, man. Like I said, I shared that thing that we saw the other day that, Josh and I ran 70 miles according to the Angler app.
Yeah.
There
for
one,
fish.
we caught 2 fish. One was not a keeper, and one was.
Yeah.
Josh caught a pretty decent fish. Again, we ran a obscene amount of miles for those things. But
we didn't give up.
No,
Never give up, man.
Yeah.
That's like an Ellie's theme, right? Never give up.
Yeah, never give up. Because I thought I saved these, so I didn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring them up here on the web.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to show you guys here. So
there's some other ones in the drive too.
Yeah, there are a few in the drive. We're going to get, like I said, we're going to get a little bit better at this as we go on. Yep, it is Mark Hickey. I had it right. So
yeah, who did?
There we go, Mark. We got you.
Not bad, Mark.
We got you. All right, so again, excuse me.
That's
so here's
Chickamauga.
a Chickamauga bass. Here's the one that I just showed you. There's a toad. I don't know where that's at. I don't know.
It don't matter.
It's giant.
It's a big one.
Yeah, here's a Cumberland smallie that he caught. It's a pretty good fish. I think I know where that cove's at, Mark. I'm coming for you. Here's Lake Norris. He submitted several photos.
Yeah.
Those are toads. And then let's see. So there was some more up through here. I believe Tyler submitted some.
That's on the other one.
Oh, okay, so
on the drive.
Yeah. So
Chuck Dotson says, "How do you want me to send them to you?" Chuck, you can send them.
Actually, Chuck, you can text them to me or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine. We can get you on there next week for sure. Just
or
text
send
them to
us
me.
on Facebook Messenger.
Whatever
or
you want to do.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, Guys, again, I want to thank you guys for your time, for letting us be a part of your Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening. One time for sure this week. So we'll be back next. Let's see, what date will that be, Josh?
Let's see. These are forward, so 18th.
The 18th, yeah. So the 18th will be good to go.
Hoping to do a little more next time with having some people call in. We wanted to make sure we got this audio fixed, and we hope it's good. And if it ain't, please let us know. But we've done a lot of testing, and me and Tyler text and talk more about this show than probably anything else.
Yeah.
And but it's worth it, and we enjoy it, man. It's fun, and we get to get on here and talk to people like Aaron and people like Mark and Tyler Akers and Ben. They send us, and Dan send us some pictures in and just talking fishing. It's fun. It's you get to. He said it's fine tonight. Great. That's what we like to hear, Aaron. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah.
And but with that, we're gonna be closing here. And once again, man, go like the at Fishing with Tyler page. Share this video. Get us some views out there. We appreciate if you like and share. And
yeah, definitely on Instagram too. I'm at Fishing with Tyler. This is Buckeye Fisherman again.
Yeah.
Shout out to our sponsors again, guys. Tackle Box in South Point, Ohio. Can't do it without those guys. Greg Drowns is awesome. Teenage Marine Team hooking me up with stuff. Josh just got hooked up with Woo Tungsten. Yeti, keeping all my adult beverage cool. Angler, Landon and Nick at Angler definitely hooking us up. Columbia Sportswear, got some of the best, most comfortable stuff in the world. Terry at Fast Signs hooking us up with a garb. G Loomis, without that we couldn't do anything. We got Ryan Ohio Furnace, Beard Company, Jackal, love their baits. Jim Block at JB's Fish Sauce.
Yeah, JB. Yeah.
Rod Glove, make the best rod protectors in the world. Super Slick Power Pro is the only thing to go with. Get your hands on a Shimano. You'll like what you feel. Solar bat, sunglasses, Stormer. Get you some cast gloves from Stormer, guys. Yeah. I'm telling you what, they're amazing.
What, $40?
I think they're $40. Yeah. Kevlar thumb.
Man, nice.
They're awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
So, again, guys, thank you guys for sticking around for a whole hour and a half.
Yep.
I'm going to make another post here probably tomorrow morning sometime. We're going to be talking about topics that we're going to cover next time.
Yep.
Feel free to share this after the fact. We like to see how many views we can get. We had 1,000 views on the last one. We're hoping to break more than that this time because, again, the audio was less than superb last time. So we want to make sure we get our name out there with some quality stuff. Again, we're using this for sponsors as well. So, thank you guys for sticking around. And, again, this is On Another Line. My name is Tyler Waller.
And I'm Josh Bryant.
Till next time, guys, keep your lines tight.
See you guys.